Okay, we're going to work on a closed guard sweep and attack series. No gi, and well, this will be gi applicable, but we're going to start from a very basic set of sweeps, and we're going to work between the two. So we're going to start a chain. We're going to show the chain once, then we'll go through and break it all down. So the chain's all going to start with the hip bump sweep, right? So clearing the hands, sitting up, right? Clap the tricep. Boom, we got the hip bump sweep. Right? Hip bump sweep doesn't always work. Sometimes you go for the hip bump sweep, they start driving in, right? We secure the wrist, lock up the Kimura, right? Finish the Kimura finish. Now, same thing, hip bump sweep. We go for that, he starts driving in, we go for the Kimura, he's hugged tight. Right? Now we can't no longer get the Kimura. Hands go to the mat. Feet come back, arm shoots in, we drop for the guillotine. Same thing, boom, hip bump, doesn't work, can't get the Kimura, right? Shoot back, we're unable to get our hand in. He's sitting really, he's dropped his hips really tight, and I can't get a hand in to get the guillotine. The arm by his head is going to shoot under. We're going to get what's called the 100% sweep. Hands with a neck crank, we're at top position. And finally, we've made it the whole way through our series. Right? Can't get the guillotine. We go for the 100%, he pops his head out. Right? We're able to just shoot the underhooks, finish with the good old-fashioned scissor sweep. Good. Now we'll break it down. Go. Okay, the hip bump sweep and closed guard breakdown. First off, we want to have good posture, right? So we want to have, if he has good posture, it's really hard to sweep him by pushing around with our legs. So we need to break that posture down. We're going to start by clearing his hands off of our body. We can do this by either pulling them off or swimming under. Either way works. Right, I prefer to swim under. Right, as we swim under, I'm going to be sitting up. Right, the hands are cleared, I sit up, and I'm going to reach across. As I come up, you see I'm coming up to my elbow and my hand. Reaching across to the tricep. Now I'm going to step backwards on the opposite side of the tricep grab, and I'm going to block the grip, block the leg for the step. At this point, my hips are going to come off the ground, and I take a big step, secure my base. Let's look at that from another angle. All right, so clear the hands. All right, sit up to the elbow. Right, as we're reaching across the tricep, block a leg, step back, coming up to our hands, big step up with our hips, step over, secure our base. There we go. Okay, as we start working with this hip bump sweep, a lot of times people start seeing this coming, so we need to start, planning a second attack. So as we start shooting here, as I sit up, a lot of people will often drive their body weight back down. This makes it really hard for me to get my hips off the ground and hip bump sweep him. So this is why I prefer the swim under. As I swim under, I can secure a wrist. As I'm sitting up and he's driving in, I'm going to reach around his tricep and lock up my own grip. Right? That nice figure 4 Kimura grip. As I go to finish this, right, I'm going to post my back foot on the mat, and I'm going to drop myself underneath him. Right, I move myself more than I move him. To finish the Kimura, we're going to hug tight against our chest with that elbow, 90 degrees on the shoulder, 90 degrees on the elbow, and then rotate our body for the tap. Look at that from another angle. All right. So we swim under, and as we come up, I'm already securing the wrist. If he starts driving in, I'm going to reach around the tricep, lock up the Kimura, post my backside foot and drop myself underneath. At this point, I'm going to hug his arm into my chest and rotate my body to finish. One detail I like to point out here is that my knee should be fairly close to my heel. That way, if he does try to escape, does try to roll, I've got control of his body. Okay, so continuing our series now. Right, we're planning on him now defending. Right, so we've cleared the hands, we shot for the hip bump. Right, if they start driving into us, right, we're good. You know, like we had the chance for the Kimura, but now if he hugs around my waist, it makes it really tough, especially if I lose that wrist control. To counteract this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put both my hands on the mat, squaring back up, and I'm going to shimmy my butt away, right? Slide away. As I slide away, my arm by his head is going to shoot in between his head and his shoulder, right? Creating a nice space right here. We've got now lots of room to grab. We're going to lock up our own hands. Now to finish the guillotine, we're going to fall towards his head, re-locking our guard, and then squeezing to get the tap. Now let's look at that from another angle. Okay, so we go for our hip bump sweep. As we come up, they hug our body, right, and drive back into us, right? So we really can't get the hip bump. We really can't get the Kimura. Both hands go on the mat. You can even pose with both feet. Slide your butt away. I'm going to take my hand next to his head, feed it in, right? So I'm nice and deep. I have that elbow as deep as I can get it. My free hand is going to reach in and grab, right? I'm going to grab with my choking hand. Now I'm going to fall towards the head, right? Locking up the guard and then extending to finish the tap. One more angle. Boom, clear, sit up, right? He hugs, we're forced to back away. The hand shoots between the head and the shoulder. Lock up my grip. I'm going to fall towards his head, coming up over his back, and then extending with my body to get the tap. Okay, continuing. Right? Same thing, hip bump sweep. Can't get it, can't get the Kimura, he locks up. I start shooting back for that guillotine. My hand gets in like I'm going to get the guillotine, but for some reason, right, I'm unable to get my other hand in. Maybe he drops his body weight low, something like that. I just am not unable to get the guillotine. We are still able to finish the sweep from here. My guillotine hand is going to shoot out underneath the side arm, but I have the head. I'm going to reach across and I'm going to grab so that my guillotine hand is going to palm away. I'm going to gable grip and drive my elbow straight across his shoulders. Now as I fall back, I'm going to post with that far foot, drive, and turn over. Notice here, if I keep a hold of that, I have the ability to drop for a neck crank, where I can release it, secure my base, come up. Let's look at another angle. Hip bump, no-go, Kimura, no-go, right? Hip back for the guillotine, we're able to get our hand in, but we aren't able to get some grip to, we don't feel like we're going to get that guillotine. A lot of people just don't like that arm in guillotine. Right? We're going to shoot our hand out underneath that elbow, underneath that shoulder, palm away, gable grip, elbow down the shoulder line. Right now, as we turn, we're going to fall to, I'm going to fall to my right, away from you, posting on my foot, bridging, come over, secure my base. Continuing along, go for the hip bump, right, no go, the Kimura's no go, right, I go for the guillotine, I'm realizing I'm not going to get the guillotine. A lot of people, when you start shooting for the guillotine, though, are going to pull their head backwards. right, and put it in the center of my chest. Right now, I don't have a guillotine, and it's really hard to get that 100% sweep. I don't have that neck crank. However, it's great because I already have my underhook and my overhook. Right? What I'm going to do there is I'm just going to hug nice and tight with that underhook and overhook. My knee on my underhook side is going to shoot across, and I'm going to fall backwards, maintaining the hug, kicking under, extending away to come up for my scissor sweep. Look at that from a different angle. Right, so we get to that guillotine position. Right, we don't have a guillotine. Right, he pops his head out. So that says no more guillotine, no more 100%. We have our underhook, hug nice and tight. Our overhook is going to hug nice and tight. If you can just hug, right? The line in your arm can just hug across. You don't necessarily need to wrap around as much. Hug tight to your chest. Your underhook side knee is going to shoot across, right? And as you do this, I'm going to maintain my squeeze with that underhook. I'm not going to sit there and pull out and then try to pull him on top of me, right? When that knee comes under, I got underhook, that knee comes under, I'm maintaining the hug, and I'm using my back like a rocking horse. Picks his hips up off the ground, we kick under, kick across, come up on top. So oftentimes, right, we don't start with them in that high position, right? So the hip bump sweep really isn't there. If they're already low, right, it makes it very difficult to sweep them, so we're going to have to revert to that scissor sweep to start. Fortunately, this series works backwards as well, right? So instead of that scissor sweep, we're going to start with our butt away, shoot our underhook, overhook for the scissor sweep, right? So we have our scissor sweep nice and tight, boom, right? Now, with that scissor sweep, as people start going for that scissor sweep, a lot of people try to drive past and avoid, right? If he goes to drive past, a lot of times they can get that head underneath your arm. We have our nice 100% sweep. We have our guillotines. Right, so, other direction. Boom. We have, it's nice and low. I can't get my hip bump. Butt away. Underhook, overhook. Right? Knee comes across, he starts driving in to avoid the scissor sweep. 100% sweep. Right? So we put up, post, 100% sweep. If he's avoiding that, a lot of times we can butt away again, go back to our guillotine. Right? Now, he says, oh no, I don't want the guillotine. He's going to back away. As he backs away, we've got our wrist. We've got our Kimura. Right? As he says no to the Kimura, he's going to come up. We've got our hip bump. This whole series works backwards as well. Let's walk through it one more time backwards. All right, he's low, butt away, underhook, overhook, knee comes in, he drives in to avoid it. 100% sweep possibility, post, guillotine possibility. He doesn't like the guillotine, he backs up. Right? We immediately switch to the wrist, shoot over for the Kimura. Right? If as we're shooting for the Kimura, he sits up, we just follow him up for the hip bump sweep. Look at that from one other angle. So he's nice and low, butt away, underhook, overhook. Right? He says, I don't want that. Start driving forward. Guillotines, 100% are there, right? If he says no, he backs up again, right? Secure the wrist, release the head over top for our guillotine, our corner grip. Step over, grab, tighten up. If as we're shooting for that, he starts pushing and pulling away, we just follow him up, hand to the mat, hip bump sweep. Attacking or sweeping every time.